Zondi, you're still under oath?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Durban.
Thank you, my Lord. My Lord, before I proceed, unfortunately, I have to register a complaint and I have to do it on record. This morning I was approached by my learned friend and he informed me that the state is in possession of a psychological report in respect of each and every complainant in this case. And that he also has a further comprehensive psychological report. He asked me whether his secretary had provided this documentation to me, these reports. I informed him that that has not been done and that I've never seen these reports. And he has now offered to provide me with copies of these reports. Now, my Lord, the present complainant has been testifying for 3 days. I'm 2 days into my cross-examination. And now only, after we've commenced the trial and I've started my cross-examination, does he tell me about these psychological reports, which he obviously intends using. I haven't read them. They might have a direct bearing on my cross-examination of this particular witness. I might need, these are expert reports by psychologists, as I understand it.
You might need to engage
a private psychologist to advise me on what these experts say. Well, I don't know if there's more than one expert, it might be the same psychologist. My learned friend ought to know, with respect, that where he's going to call an expert, he must provide me with a report timelessly, or whether, if he's going to use a report by an expert. So, basically, wittingly or unwittingly, he has ambushed me now. Lord, a further issue is the fact that some time ago I informed him that my instructions were that the police had confiscated 2 particular cell phones from my clients. I gave him the make and the IMEI numbers of those cell phones. I told him exactly what cell phones they were. They're both iPhones, if I recall correctly. He came back to me, I think it was in the email, and he informed me that the police deny that they are in possession of those cell phones. We need those cell phones to prepare our defense. I told him that. Here at court, in his presence, I believe we took the matter up with Mr. Plaatjes, who I believe is the investigating officer. And Mr. Plaatjes confirms that these phones were in fact confiscated from my clients. And then my learned friend said, all right, he'll take steps to acquire them or to get them back to us. That still hasn't been done. My Lord, obviously, I don't want to delay this trial. My clients want to proceed with the trial. In an email I sent to my learned friend, I asked him specifically to provide me with the entire contents of the police document. I just want to mention that as well.
Yes.
I don't know why the reports weren't provided. As I was saying, my Lord, we want to proceed with this trial. We don't want to delay the trial. But in the circumstances, I'm sure that your Lordship will understand if I require time to do the necessary with regard to those reports. So what I propose to do, my Lord, is I've prepared to cross-examine this witness further today, and I'd like to go as far as I can so we can get as much of her evidence behind us as possible. But then I'm going to ask your Lordship to adjourn the matter.
Yes.
I don't know if my learned friend wants to say anything.
Mr. Ndelo?
The copies is my Lord. My Lord, indeed. I think the miscommunication between me and the defense is that we never sat down and compare what he has, because we did give each other copies, and now we never sat down and compare what he has and what he doesn't have. I think we'll do that, my lord, outside this court. Try to compare what he has and what he doesn't have. About the issue of the phones, we only talked about that after court yesterday, so it is still in the morning. We are on that. He will get them today.
So you sort it out.
Yes,
I think
Yes,
it's
my lord.
imperative that they should be given, even
Yes,
the
my lord.
reports as well.
I understand, my lord.
Yes.
Yes.
Are you satisfied, Mr.
I'm
Document?
satisfied.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll proceed.
Thank you. Just before you proceed, what is the date when that first video was taken? The one where the witness was welcomed in church?
I
Welcomed
don't think
back on
we have a
the...
specific date for that.
It doesn't have...
It doesn't appear on the video.
Also, you're not aware what date it was? Oh,
Not exactly at this stage. I don't have it at my fingertips. I can probably get the date.
thank you.
But it will come out in the evidence, I believe,
Thank you.
in due course.
Thank you. Did I remind you that you're still in oath?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Durban.
Thank you. Now, ma'am, you obviously watched the video that was played yesterday, the last one.
Yes, I did.
Shall we call it the Grace Galaxy documentary?
Yes.
Had you seen it before yesterday?
I had seen it when I was in the church.
Yeah.
Yes.
And obviously you took part in the making of the documentary.
Yes.
And you appear in that documentary
Yes.
as one of the members of the group.
Yes.
Do you agree that you appear to be very happy in the video?
Yes, I do agree, as I had explained in my testimony before.
But you say that was a false front that you were putting on. Is
Yes.
that correct?
I had to pretend.
And you in fact singing the praises of accused number one in that video.
Yes.
Yes. And you described his mentorship of you or by him as being awesome, phenomenal and great. Correct?
Correct.
Is that a true statement?
No.
Is it not a true statement insofar as your singing in the church is concerned?
I mean, the man is very musically inclined. There's no denying that.
Yeah. But his mentorship of you in that area, would it be correct to say that that was awesome, phenomenal and great?
It was musically good. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Obviously you enjoyed the process and being in the group, not so?
I enjoyed singing in the group.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at the end you all say, "We love you, Daddy."
Yes, we did.
And your version is that you had to put on a front for the purposes of the documentary, as I understand it,
Yes. And to please him, of course.
and to please him. I would like to show a photograph to you. I have copies for the court and my learned friend is on there. As your lordship please. Do you recognize, well obviously you in the photograph, not so,
Yes, I am.
as one of the three members of the group who are seated in the left of the photograph.
Yes.
Who's on the left?
On the left is Cindy
What's her surname?
Guama.
Guam. And you in the center, and and what's the name of the third member of the group?
Dolly Nondlazi.
Dolly and Lazi.
Nondlazi.
Non-Lazi. Do you recall this occasion?
The specific meeting.
Yes.
No. But I was there. I just don't remember what happened in the meeting exactly.
You know who took this photograph?
No, I can't remember.
You will see at the top, it's written there that this was at the Durban Holy Ghost Week
Oh, yes, I see that.
in December 2012. Did you attend the Holy Ghost Week in Durban during December 2012?
Yes,
So this photograph could have been taken there.
yes,
And at the time, behind the scenes, you were being sexually abused at that time. Is that correct?
yes, and this was around the time my mother decided to move from Secunda to Gauteng.
I understand. Once again, you appear to be happy and smiling there?
I do appear to be so, yes,
Yes. But you would say that, once again, that's a false front that you were putting on.
yes.
Right. I want to show you a certain letter. Once again, I do have copies for the court in the and my limit thing.
Child matter is it?
Is it that one, my lord?
Will you look at page 2 of that document which I've now handed to you? And confirm that your signature appears on it?
My signature does not appear on this.
I see.
It's the first time I see this letter.
Alright, so you don't know anything about this letter?
No.
Alright, thank you. I won't take that further than I thought you were party to that letter. Alright, I want to show you a bundle of photographs. Exhibit F, my lord, the photos are marked 1 to 12.
Should be G.
G, exhibit G.
So it will be G1 up to 12.
As you will,
Court visit.
could you just quickly browse through the photographs?
Okay.
Just tell me when you're finished.
I'm done.
You're done. Do you recognize the scenes depicted in those photographs?
Yes, these were our trips out of the country.
When would these clips have been, would these photographs have been taken?
2012
2012, and where were you?
in Israel, and there's just
Israel.
one I want to look at. Not sure if we were in Nigeria there. Yeah, this is Israel.
And you, is this the,
Taken from
Yes,
Israel.
yes,
was this the tour that you referred to in evidence previously?
yes.
Right. So let's just go through the photographs quickly. Photo 1, what do we see there?
This is a group photo of the people that came to Israel, that went to Israel.
And Reverend Omotoso is also there.
Yes, he's there.
Are you in this particular photograph?
Maybe I am somewhere, I just don't see myself.
You don't see yourself. Right, doesn't matter. Let's go on photograph 2. You in that photograph on the right.
Yes,
with Vuiseka, correct?
On the left is Cindy. Wisega is, I think that's Dolly's second name.
I see. Do you have a second name?
I have 3 names.
You have 3 names. Could you just give me your full names, please?
Nombulelo,
Mbulelo.
Nogukhanya,
No.
Nogukhanya,
Kanya.
Cheryl
Cheryl.
Zondi.
Right, where was that photograph taken?
It looks like it was, this auditorium resembles a bit the one in Nigeria, but the one in Nigeria was bigger, so this is Israel.
Israel.
Yeah.
At a venue or at a hotel or where?
We held meetings in a convention room within the hotel in Israel.
Excuse me, which photo is that photo?
But a 2.
3, wait, photo
It's-
2?
yeah, it's
Oh,
2.
page.
Yeah,
Oh,
page 2.
page 2.
I think it's page, or we call it photo 2. Because
Oh.
here talking of auditorium or meeting,
This-
I think
this
it's
one.
this one. Yes, that
Okay.
one.
Are you there?
Yes, now I'm there, sorry.
So where were you there?
When I was talking about the auditorium, I was on page 3.
Yes, yes. I mean, on page 2. Hence, I raised the question. So, where were you on page 2? Or on
That's
photo 2?
Israel. That's Israel.
Where? At the hotel or where?
I can't remember, so
Can't
this
remember.
elevator,
You happy and smiling in that photograph, correct?
yes.
Right. Let's move on to the next photograph, 3. When was that taken?
This is Israel,
Yes.
2012.
We're inside a room somewhere. Were you
Inside a,
rehearsing there or what were you doing?
yes, we were singing.
You were
We're
singing?
singing, yeah.
Rehearsing?
No, singing, actual
Singing.
performing.
Performing before
Yes. The congregants who would come along to Israel, because he would hold services in one of the like a convention kind of room that had been cleared out for us to hold
Right.
services.
who? Let's move on. Photo 4. Where was that taken?
This is Israel. We were walking around.
On a sightseeing tour.
Yes.
You know who took this photograph?
No, I can't remember.
Once again, you're all happy and smiling there,
Yes. We appear to be happy and smiling.
but you weren't actually.
Yes.
Is that Reverend Omotoso there on the right?
Yes, that's Timothy on the right.
Why was it necessary for you to put on the front for whoever took this photograph?
Because not putting on a front would be a sign of standing against this figure of authority that seemed to have our whole lives in his hands.
All right, let's move on. Photo 5. Is that at some location in Israel once again?
Yes, this is Israel as well.
You standing behind Reverend Omotoso,
Yes.
happy and smiling, correct?
Yes, I'm smiling in the picture.
Yes. Photo 6. You in the top right of the photograph wearing a white pig cap, correct?
Yes.
Second from the right.
Yes.
Happy and smiling.
Yes.
Also the Israel tour,
Yes, same tour.
same tour. Page 7, or photo 7.
That looks like praise and worship was going on.
Also in Israel.
Yes.
You appear to be happy there.
Yes, I appear so.
Photo 8. You rehearsing or you performing there.
I think this was a performance as well.
Reverend
Without
Omotoso on
mics.
your right in the photograph,
Yes.
playing for you.
Yes.
You appear to be happy there.
Yes, I appear so.
Photo 9. Also Israel.
Yes.
You in the middle, happy and smiling.
Yes.
Photo 10. Also in Israel. At the River Jordan.
Yes.
About to be baptized, presumably.
Yes.
You in the photograph.
Yes, I am.
You were also baptized in the river.
I was.
Was this a joyous occasion for you?
Yes, it was.
Photograph 11. Also in Israel.
Yes.
You in the photograph in the forefront. Reverend Omotoso behind you.
Mm-hmm.
You appear to be happy and smiling.
Yes, I did.
Last photograph, also in Israel.
Yes.
You with Cheryl and Cindy.
I'm with Dolly and Cindy, yes.
Dolly and Cindy. Sorry, Dolly and Cindy. You in the middle.
Yes.
You happy and smiling there?
I'm not smiling,
You're
but
not
I appear to
smiling
be
on
just
that
fine.
occasion.
I appear to be just fine.
You appear to be good.
Yes.
Thank you. Ma'am, I want to show you an email. Exhibit H, my lord.
Yes, it's so much. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Sonia.
You won't know the email, so I'll take you through it. It's from Mr. Warren Foss to Fezeka. You've mentioned a Fezeka before. Just
Yes.
explain again who was she in 2011? What was she doing?
When she was in the house, she was basically a lady that was approaching girls for Timothy, and she would basically take on a role as his PA, if you will.
PA.
Yeah.
She was like an administrator.
Yeah, she handled travel for the girls, that kind of thing. Counted his money, all of that.
All right, so this is an email to her, in fact. The subject is electricity connection, and it reads as follows. I, Fezeka, please find attached the signed lease agreement by both parties and a letter from Lucy giving you permission to connect the electricity in Timothy's name. Should you have any questions or require any further information, please do not hesitate in contacting me. Kind regards, Warren Foss. Lettings negotiator, Hunters. My instructions are that this is a covering letter for the lease that I showed you earlier, you remember?
Yes.
And according to that lease, the property at 16 Westridge Road in Kwanga Ridge was only rented, or was rented by Reverend Omotoso from 1 February 2011 to 31 January 2013. Do you remember that? I'm just refreshing your memory.
Yes, I do remember that.
The email talks about connecting the electricity in Timothy's name. And I want to suggest to you that that is because he only took occupation of the premises on the 1st of February 2011. You still persist that you were in that house during 2010?
Yes.
What if the owner of the house were to come and say that that is not correct?
I never met the owner of the house, so he wouldn't know.
I'm asking you, what would you say if I were to call the owner as a witness? She's a lady, to come and testify
He
that
could have.
Reverend Omotoso only took occupation of the premises on the 1st of February 2011.
In his name, yes.
No, I'm talking about taking occupation.
Taking occupation in his name, yes.
Now forget about his name. Let's make it simple. That he only moved in then on the 1st of February 2011. If I called her to come and say that, would you dispute her evidence?
I would.
You would say she's lying.
I would, indeed.
And if I called the lettings negotiator from Hunters to say the same, you would say that he's also lying.
I would. Maybe he could show the court whose name the lease was in the year 2010.
Yes, let's say if he produced a lease in somebody else's name, somebody else's name prior to that period. And what if I called the actual occupants of the property to come and say that they were in occupation during 2010, so Omotoso couldn't have been there? You would still persist?
I would.
You would?
Yes.
Right, thank you. I'm still investigating the matter and waiting for feedback from these witnesses, and I might question you further on this point in due course.
I see.
Your evidence is that you were raped in various places.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
You were raped in Durban, correct?
Yes.
You were raped in Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
You were raped in Richards Bay.
Yes.
You were raped in Cape Town.
Yes.
You were raped in East London.
Yes.
You were raped in Gauteng.
Yes.
You were raped in Israel,
Yes.
Nigeria,
Yes.
Sukunda,
Yes.
and where else?
Bloemfontein.
Beg your pardon?
Bloemfontein.
Bloemfontein. Anywhere else?
No.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, that's as far as I can remember. The church traveled a lot, so.
Can you please come back?
I'm saying that's as far as I can remember. The church did travel a lot, though. So.
You were raped in Umhlanga Rocks, correct?
Yes.
Which is in Durban, is it not, or near Durban?
It's Mhlanga is in Durban.
In Durban.
Yes.
I want to refer you to count 22, which is a rape charge against accused number 1.
Okay.
The allegation there is that he raped you in Umhlanga Rocks, Port Elizabeth and or Israel and or Nigeria. Those 4 places only. That is the allegation in the charge sheet. Did you tell my learned friend for the state, the prosecutor, that you were raped in all these other places as well?
Yes.
So I suppose you can't explain why he didn't include those locations in the charge sheet.
I can't.
You see, because he's got a duty to inform the accused exactly what the charge against him is and where he is alleged to have committed these offences.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes. So when we came to court, or when my client came to court to face these charges, he thought that it's alleged that he only committed rape in these 4 places. Now we learn when we get to court that he allegedly raped you in a myriad of other places as well.
Yes, he did.
But obviously you're not involved in drafting the charge sheet, so That's not your responsibility. But you can't. You insist that you told my learned friend that you were raped in all these places.
Yes, I did.
You mentioned. Well, let me ask you this: in your written statements to the police, did you mention the fact that accused number 1 used to recline on his couch and require young girls to come and hug him in an inappropriate manner while he was lying on the couch?
Yes, I did mention that he was greeted by all the girls and I did the same, even though I thought it was inappropriate.
You said
The
that
way.
you thought it was inappropriate at the time,
Yes, I did
but
mention
you
it.
dismissed it. Is that your evidence?
And I did the same as the other girls, yes.
Why did you specifically mention that?
Because it was a red flag for me that I dismissed.
You knew when you made your statements that you needed to tell the police about any inappropriate sexual behavior on the part of accused number 1.
Yes, and I did so.
And it was your intention to do that when you made your statement.
Yes.
Well, can you explain then, and excuse the pun, why you didn't mention the fact that accused number 1 used to recline on the couch with his red flag up,
He didn't have a red flag
with his
up.
private parts, man?
The first time that didn't happen. That's why I didn't mention it. This would be a regular occurrence within the house. I didn't mention it. The things that I mentioned in detail were the things that happened to me directly,
Man,
which are for
you
obvious
saw-
reasons vivid
man,
in my memory.
You saw fit to mention the inappropriate hugging.
Yes.
Why in none of your statements, and by the way, you did make 3 statements, I was correct yesterday, I found the 3rd one. Why did you not mention this behavior in any of your statements to the police, which were made long after the event?
Didn't come to mind.
Was it not something that stood out in your mind?
Didn't come to mind when I
Didn't
was
come to
making the
mind
statements.
on every occasion that you made a statement? It didn't
Yes.
come to mind. Did you mention it at any stage before you took the witness stand to anybody?
Yes, I did.
Who did you mention it to?
I mentioned it to the Hawks.
To the?
To the Hawks.
To the prosecutor?
Yes, and to the Hawks.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get it. To the Hawks.
Yes.
Did you mention it to the prosecutor?
I don't remember.
So you mentioned it to the Hawks. Was that when they were taking down your statements?
This is when I was engaging with them.
Did you mention it when they were taking down your statements, ma'am?
No.
So how come it didn't come to mind then, whereas it had come to mind previously when you were engaging with them?
Mind has a funny way of doing its own thing, doesn't it?
So you forgot to mention it. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying it didn't come to mind.
Which means you forgot to mention it. Isn't that the same thing?
You can interpret it the way you see fit,
All
sir.
right, thank you. I want to put it to you that the reason why you didn't mention it is that it never happened. That's why you never mentioned it.
Well, as this case proceeds, we'll see about that.
I put it to you that had it happened, you would most certainly have mentioned it in one of your statements to the police.
You're entitled to your opinion, sir.
All right. Did you ever massage Reverend Omotoso's feet?
Yes, I did.
When was that?
After the sexual abuse had started, I then started to massage him. I would massage his feet, and sometimes he'd call me up. I'd massage his back as well, and legs.
Right. So that was only after the abuse had already begun.
Yes.
He didn't use the massaging of feet as a prelude to the sexual assaults that later ensued.
Not with me, no.
Not with you.
Yes.
Right. These young girls that were at the mission house and whom one can see in the photographs, what were they actually doing there at the mission house?
If they were not singers, they were ladies in charge of making him his food. They were ladies in charge of ironing his clothes, getting his clothes to the laundry. They were like, we'd get assigned turns to either clean the house this week or cook this week, and then we'd exchange. Besides that, there would be like prayer during the day, and the girls who were not rehearsing would just sit around, wait for him to call them. They just sit around.
They were not all singers.
No, because there was a limited number of singers. So the majority of people in the house was not singers.
I think yesterday we were dealing with what happened after you got to Durban on the last occasion, and how you escaped, as you put it.
Yes.
How long did you stay there on that occasion?
From May to August. So after the PE crusade ended, we went straight to Durban, and I stayed there until August.
Just give us the address again.
2 Royal Palm.
2 Royal Palm.
And if I remember correctly, it was the 3rd of August.
The 3rd of August that you made your escape.
Yes.
And your evidence is that the abuse continued there.
Yes.
How regular was the abuse, given the fact that you were there all the time? Was it on a daily basis now?
Not
what?
every single day, but very often. So most of the days of the week, except for when I was on my cycle.
And he did exactly the same thing to you on each occasion as you've described.
Yes.
And what were you doing when you were not engaged in pleasing him in that way?
We would usually rehearse because I'd been out of the group for so long. I had a lot of catching up to do. So the girls were trying to help me catch on the new notes and new songs.
So you were rehearsing with Grace Galaxy.
Yes.
Who were members of the group then?
It was myself, Cindy, Neliswa, Anele, and Vicky.
You were rehearsing with Reverend Omotoso in the usual fashion.
We would rehearse with him, like when I was done learning a new song, then we would rehearse with him. When we were done learning a new song, we would rehearse with him, and he'd give us some new songs again, and I'd rehearse with them without him as well.
And then a day came when you decided that you'd had enough, as I understand it.
Well, I had been talking to my mother prior that day that I escaped, working out a plan with my aunt and her husband as well. So it was a little while before I actually made the escape.
Did you have your phone with you at all material times? Your cell phone?
Yes, I had my phone on me all the time, but not when I went to his room.
You weren't deprived of your cell phone. It wasn't confiscated from you.
No, it wasn't confiscated.
So you had the ability to communicate with whoever you liked.
Yes.
And when did you make the decision to leave? How long before you actually left?
It was a little while. It was a little while. And
Days or weeks, ma'am? How long before you actually left was it?
I can say maybe a couple of weeks.
Before you
Maybe, yeah. If my memory serves me correctly.
left? And what triggered your decision to leave? In other words, what made you decide to leave at that point?
I was tired of having to please this man, and in the house I was failing to hide how I felt, and so things were very difficult for me. I was being confronted by him day in and day out. It was not pleasant. It was not a pleasant experience. I was being rebuked for feeling the way that I was feeling by him. His Secretary General would be there. Lusanda would be there. When he was done rebuking me, she'd continue rebuking me downstairs. It was just a hellish experience.
Was he harassing you?
He was harassing me non-stop
About what?
about not wanting to please him sexually. So he was trying to force me to want to sexually please him. He wanted to feel wanted by a teenager.
Did he harass you in front of other people or only in the room about that or in that manner?
Yes, he would rebuke me when it was just us, and rebuke me in front of other people in that room.
What do you mean when you say rebuke? What would he say to you?
Cheryl, you know the things you need to do to me. You know what you must do for me, and you're not doing that. God is not going to be pleased with you. And I told you before, you're 19 now. Your punishment is going to be double. Do you want to walk the streets and take your clothes off? Do you want to lose your mind? That's exactly what's going to happen.
All right. What did he say in front of the other people in the house?
In the room?
No.
Yes.
No. What did he say in front of the other people in the house?
I don't remember him rebuking me in front of everyone in the house.
All right.
He would just ignore me if he
didn't
was...
rebuke you publicly, in other words, in front of the other people in the house.
Yeah, he would just complain about my absence. If he was downstairs and I was not there, he would ask questions like, where's this girl? Oh, she's smart now. You know, if I was not feeling like being in his presence, I was accused of being smart now.
So he gave no hint publicly of what was going on between the two of you in his bedroom. Correct?
He would say things like, he would not say directly that this girl does this and that, but he would say things like, this March girl is fire. Show me your tongue. Let them see your tongue. So I had to stick my tongue out.
Well, what did that mean?
He was saying to everyone that I was good in bed, in essence.
Because you had to show your tongue.
Remember, I did have to give the man oral sex.
Yes, I understand.
So
that.
he flaunted that.
But we're talking about what happened there in front of the other people in the house.
Yes, I'm saying he would say this March girl is fire. He even said in front of these two that this is the best March girl in South Africa.
The best what girl?
March girl.
March girl.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means that I was the best in bed who was born in March in South Africa. for him.
You say he said that in front of accused 2 and 3?
Yes.
When was that?
He said it when I arrived from Johannesburg, and he kept saying it. It's just what he always said. This is the best match, girl. Fire, fire.
Have you mentioned this to anybody before? Or is this the first time you've mentioned this?
I've mentioned it.
Have you mentioned it? Did you mention it to the Hawks or to the police?
Yes, I have, but I didn't think it was necessary to write fire, fire in my statement.
So you say you were starting to stand up for yourself. You weren't keeping quiet anymore.
I stood up to him in that car. Other than that, I wouldn't say I stood up again. I just showed that I didn't want to do what he wanted me to do.
All right. But you say you weren't hiding your disdain for him.
Yes.
How did you show your disdain for him publicly?
Publicly,
In front of the other people in the house?
I would just be absent. I would stay in the room.
Did you show your disdain for him in any other way, or was that the only way?
Yeah, that's the only way I had the strength to.
Just by staying in your room?
Yes.
Once again, you never actually requested him to stop what he was doing?
No, all I could do was try and stay away,
Yes.
which I did.
But you never requested him or pleaded with him to stop?
He made it clear to me that he wasn't going to stop, so no.
Thank you. So you say you decided to leave.
Yes.
And what plan did you hatch to leave?
I'd been telling my mother that things have not changed, so I decided to contact my aunt. My aunt who's a relative in KZN. I told her I need to escape from this house. I'm back here. Can you please help me? So she put me into contact with her husband, who put me into contact with his cousin, who would let me stay at her student residence whenever I was ready to make my escape in Durban. So when he gave all the girls money in the house to prepare for the upcoming Durban crusade, I remember he gave me 300 rand, and I decided to keep that money so I could use it for a cab, a meter cab, to take me to where the cousin was. As I explained before, I was communicating with Lulu, who was keeping tabs on him for me while he was out of the house, rehearsing with another choir in the church. And on that night, when she told me they were going to leave soon, I had already been packing my things, very, surreptitiously, not trying to draw any attention towards myself because the girls would keep tabs on each other in the house. I threw my bag outside of the window, the bathroom window from upstairs. And then I took my toiletries last, leaving a lot of my clothes in one of the other closets in the house. And then I walked out. I wanted everyone in the house to be asleep when I walked out, but there was one lady who was still awake, and she was in the kitchen. She was busy cleaning the kitchen. I decided at that moment, this is do or die. It's either I'm going to leave today or, I'm stuck here. So I acted as if I didn't see her. I took the remote key, the one that opens the garage. I let myself out of the door. I quickly ran to my bag. I ran out of the gate. I told the cab driver to wait. Not in.
Can we just have a shot at him?
Yes.
All right.
Listen, people, while the judge is still in court, you keep quiet.
She wants to go to the toilet now.
You just want to go to the
Okay, don't
Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. One, two, 1 2.
First come, first serve.
First come.
Van daar al. Dus ook om alles daai kant.
Oh, can I look at it after everything?
Yeah. Do you know?
Okay. Yeah, I remember. Yes, I remember. Okay.
She's working. She was working. When she was working as project, she was working. She's a contractor. Oh.
Advocate, do you have some facial tissues? Yes. Go away. I don't have any more. No, I don't have any more. Oh, no. Thank you. Thank
Quiet in court, please.
Ms. Zondi, you still under oath?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. All I can say to you that it's not easy for you. If you feel overwhelmed, just inform us. But I think the end is in sight for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Just hold on there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Durban.
Thank you. Ms. Zondi, before I move on, I just want to revisit the dates. Firstly, the date that you rejoined the church, the date on which you came down to Port Elizabeth. Was it not on the Good Friday of Easter weekend during 2015?
It was in May.
But can't you recall whether it was over Easter weekend or not?
No, all I remember is that it was in May.
It was in May.
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
That it was in May?
Yes.
And what date do you say you escaped?
On the 3rd of August. If my memory serves me well.
2015.
Yes.
Was it at the beginning of May that you came back to the church? The middle of May, the end of May? Don't you know?
I can't remember.
You can't remember. All right, we were last discussing your escape.
Yes.
So you made calls and you arranged for your escape, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you tell the people who you were making these arrangements with why you wanted to escape from the house? What was going on or not?
I told them that I just need to get out of here. Everything else will be explained when I'm with you. That's what I said. I didn't discuss it in detail.
You just wanted assistance to get away from the house.
Yes.
Where were you going to? Were you going home or ultimately, or what was your intention?
Yes, my plan initially was to just get away from the actual house. That's why I went to the student residence in Durban to my aunt's husband's cousin. And then from there, my aunt picked me up. She came from Pietermaritzburg and picked me up and took me to my grandmother's house in Pietermaritzburg. And then from there, I went back home to Gauteng.
Why did you pick that particular date to escape?
As I said before, I was having a hellish time in the house because of my demeanor, around him, not wanting to be with him. He was not pleased at all. He was infuriated. He rebuked me. So I did not want to remain in that environment, and he kept on threatening me. So I was having a very difficult time there.
But I thought you said that you were having a hellish time the whole time.
I was, but this
The
was
entire
even worse.
period.
This was even worse.
Where was he when you made your escape?
He was, when I escaped, I believe he was on his way back to the house from church or about to leave the church.
He wasn't at the house.
No.
Why didn't you escape before that?
I needed to come up with a plan. I needed to basically think about how I was going to go about doing it. And also, at the time, I didn't have money to go anywhere. So the plan fully materialized when he gave me that 300 rand to prepare for the crusade.
When did you start planning to escape? From the outset, when you got there to Durban, or during that time?
I started
only?
planning a little while before my escape.
Why did you agree to go to Durban?
I didn't have the means to transport myself back home from Port Elizabeth.
Is that the only reason why you didn't go home instead of going to Durban? That you didn't have the means?
I didn't have the means, and as I explained, this man had a psychological hold over me. So when I was told that a return flight was not booked for me, I just went along with everyone else back to Durban.
So the fact that you didn't have the means has actually nothing to do with it. This man had a hold over you. You couldn't go back on what you're telling the court.
I couldn't, yes.
So why, when I asked you why you didn't go back, did you mention the fact that you didn't have the means to leave?
Because that's the truth, I didn't have the means to
You didn't,
leave.
but that wasn't actually the reason why you didn't leave.
If I had the means at the time, maybe I would have left, but I
Would you
didn't.
have?
Maybe, perhaps. As I said, he still had he had a hold over me.
Ma'am, did you want to leave at that stage? When you saw that he was still up to his tricks, did you
Yes.
want to leave?
I did want to
At the
leave.
stage before you left for Durban?
I did want to leave,
You did want to leave.
yes.
You did not want to go to Durban.
I didn't want to go to Durban.
So why didn't you just walk out of the house?
So I could not just walk out of the house without a plan, without means. I'm sure you're aware we live in a dangerous world.
You mean to tell me you couldn't phone someone for assistance like you did when you were in Durban ultimately?
In Port Elizabeth, I don't have family in Port Elizabeth.
They don't have to be in Port Elizabeth. You can phone them wherever they are and ask them for assistance.
Well, I should have thought of that then, shouldn't I have?
Well, I want to know why you didn't think of that.
It didn't come to mind, so
That's ridiculous.
I doubt it.
If you wanted to escape so badly, you mean to tell me you didn't think of phoning your mother or someone else like you did when you got to Durban and asking them for assistance?
So you clearly don't understand the effect of trauma on a person. That's very clear to me.
So is it your evidence that you didn't think of phoning anybody at that time?
I
and
didn't.
asking them for assistance?
I didn't phone anyone and ask them for assistance.
You
at
just
the
went
time.
with the flow,
Yes,
which was pointing you in the direction of Durban.
yes.
Did you ask, or did you tell anyone that you would like to go back home while you were in Port Elizabeth?
I asked Lusanda if there was a return flight ticket that had been booked for me, and she said no, there wasn't.
Did you ask her to book you a ticket?
I didn't,
Why is that?
because she had told me it had not been booked. So that I understood from that it wasn't intended to be booked. There was no intention. There was no intention to book me a flight to go back home.
Did you ask her why a ticket had not been booked for you?
I don't remember asking her why.
But let's just go back. We're back in Durban. We're in Durban now. You've gone to Durban. You're in the house. You want to get away from this man. And he's raping you every other day, as I understand you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Virtually every day. Is that correct?
Majority of the week he was doing this to me.
From Monday to Sunday. The majority of the week, which means virtually every day. Is that correct?
Every other day. Yes.
Every other day.
Yes, not every single.
Not every
day.
single day.
Yes.
And did this continue for the entire period while you were in Durban until you escaped?
Yes, I'm sad to say it did.
Beg your pardon?
Yes, I'm sad to say that it did.
Every other day, every week for that entire period while you were there. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct?
Yes.
You were staying at the house.
Yes.
So for that entire period he was staying at the house. Is that your evidence?
Yes, sir.
Are you quite sure about that?
Yes. He would only go to his wife's home to just check on them. He would not stay there. He stayed with us.
He was sleeping there.
He was sleeping in the house with us.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And he slept there every night throughout that period until you escaped. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that your evidence?
Yes, sir.
And you're quite clear on that?
Yes, sir.
You can't be making a mistake.
No.
You sure?
Very sure.
Right, I want to show you a printout of certain flight tickets. Have a look at it, please. Sorry.
Is this his trip to America that you're
Yeah.
going to talk about?
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that. My mistake.
Well, that's very unfortunate.
It
Let's
happens.
just have a look at the ticket. You will see it's from Flight Center. So we mark it with the next exhibit number.
Aye.
Aye, Your Lordship. Oh, Your Lordship. Right. First page indicates that. Well, I'm going to come to the ticket now. Just want to ask you something else before I do that. Lusanda was in charge of the mission house during that period. Is that correct?
Yes.
She was running the affairs there at the house.
Yes, she would
That's accused
organize
number 2.
groceries, that kind of thing, yes.
And was she living there at the house?
Yes, she was living there with her daughter, her small
Right.
daughter.
And at the time of your escape, was she there?
Yes, she was in the house. She was woken up by the lady in the
Right.
kitchen, yeah.
Did she also stay there every night throughout that entire period?
She stayed there, but because she was married at that time, she would go and check on her husband. I can't remember if she ever slept over with her husband,
I
but
understand.
I just want to make an observation here, Mr. Government, that the witness mentioned that the trip to America even before she saw the ticket. Are we all in agreement with respect of that?
Oh, she mentioned the trip to America.
When you were just handing in or showing her the ticket, but before she could see it.
Yeah, yes, I'm in the agreement. Before
Okay.
she saw it, she mentioned.
Okay, thanks. No, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
Right, let's have a look at page 1 of the ticket. You see, this is in the name of Timothy Omotoso, clearly his ticket,
yes.
indicating that he departed from King Shaka International Airport in Durban on the 11th of June, Thursday the 11th of June 2015. You with me there?
Yes.
And the flight was to Dubai, and from Dubai to Dallas International in the United States.
Yes, sir.
And then if we go down, the return ticket is for the 22nd of June, departing Washington Dulles International Airport to Dubai, and then over the page to Durban International Kinshasa. So, do you agree that he traveled to the United States during that period? In other words, from the 11th of June 2015 to the 22nd of June 2015.
Yes, sir. I even remember I was actually supposed to join him with the two ladies that he left with, but my visa was denied, so I didn't go.
So he was absent from the mission house during that period.
Yes.
Now, you appreciate, ma'am, that that is in direct conflict what you told the court a few minutes ago when I was asking you about whether he stayed at the house the whole time during that period and every night.
I do understand.
You replied in the affirmative.
Yes, I do understand, and I acknowledge that that was my mistake. I forgot the man travelled and gave me a break.
So why did you tell the court that during that period he was at home the entire period and he wrote you every single day?
That was I didn't say every single day.
Or every
mind
alternate
you.
day? Every
Yes.
alternate day?
He did when he was there.
That evidence was not true.
I forgot that he
Yes, ma'am,
travelled.
whatever.
So,
Whether you forgot or whatever, what you said was not
so
true.
if you're trying to prove that he
Ma'am,
gave
you
me a
don't-
break,
You don't have to concern yourself with what I'm trying to prove.
okay,
I'm
sir.
wanting you to acknowledge that what you told the court was not true.
I just acknowledged that, and that was my mistake, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, the further difficulty I have with your evidence is that he wasn't there for that entire period. He wasn't there to harass you
He wasn't.
or intimidate you.
I was still in contact with him every single day.
He wasn't physically there, man,
Not physically, no.
to harass you and intimidate you.
Yes.
He had no physical control over you.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Yes.
And where was Lusanda when he wasn't there?
She was with us.
The entire period? Or might
As
you
I
be
said-
making a mistake again?
As I said, she was married at the time. So I can't remember whether or not she would leave the house for a certain period of time and stay with her husband and come back.
Was there not an extended period for which she was absent during
So
that time?
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not her keeper. I can't assist you with that information.
All right. Now, man, this man has left the house for America. Was that not an ideal opportunity for you to escape?
I didn't have money to go anywhere.
Was that not the ideal opportunity for you to escape? That's my question.
It was a good opportunity for
It
escape.
was a good
yes.
opportunity.
Yes.
Because he had obviously less control over you.
Psychologically speaking, no.
No.
I feared the man in his presence, in absence of his presence, in his absence.
Right. But we agree it was a good opportunity for you to escape.
Yes, and logically speaking, yes.
Logically speaking.
Yes.
So what is the reason why you didn't use that opportunity to escape?
I did not have money to escape. Other girls in the house did have money, but I wasn't going to borrow money from someone who's loyal to him and ask them to give me money to escape the house. As I mentioned before, we did keep tabs on each other. I wasn't allowed to leave the house in his absence either.
Is that the only reason why you didn't escape in his absence? The fact that you did not have money?
Yes, that was a major obstacle.
Did you realize that he's now not there and this is a good opportunity to escape?
I
If
realized
only you had money.
if I had money, maybe I would have escaped.
Yes, I'm talking about what you were thinking at the time. Did
Oh.
it occur to you, ma'am, that this man is now not here? He's in fact not in the country. This is an ideal opportunity to escape. Did that occur to you? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, it occurred that he was not there
Did it occur to you that this is an ideal opportunity to escape?
It didn't occur to me because I didn't escape, sir. But it does make sense, logically speaking, at this present moment. It makes perfect sense.
Ma'am, I'm not interested in what makes sense now. I'm trying to establish what you were
That's
thinking
alarming.
at the time.
Can they be quiet, please?
I wasn't there. You were there. So that's why I want to know from you what was going on in your mind at the time. You there at this house, the man who's been harassing you and sexually abusing you, he's left the house, he's out of the country, in fact. You want to escape. Did it occur to you at that time that this is an opportunity for you to escape?
I did think about it,
You did.
yes.
Thank you. And as I understand you, the only thing that prevented you from leaving at that time is the fact that you didn't have the means to buy an air ticket. Is that correct?
Not an air ticket per se. I wasn't trying to
All right.
save thousands.
Well, you tell me then.
That
What was the actual reason why you didn't employ that opportunity to escape?
That, because I did not have the means to leave and go anywhere. Also the fact that he still had a hold over me. I was still afraid of him. When he left, he made it very clear that he's still monitoring us. Spiritually.
When you say you didn't have the means to escape, what are you talking about?
Money, sir.
Money.
Money to get
To do
a
what?
taxi.
To get a taxi.
Yes.
So once again, why didn't you phone a member of your family and ask for assistance? Or get money from a friend?
I didn't think of that, sir. At that time, I didn't.
You honestly want the court to believe that, man? You're in a desperate situation. You have the opportunity to escape. The man that is terrorizing you is not there. The only thing stopping you from going, or one of the things that's stopping you, is you don't have the means. But you don't think of even phoning a single member of your family and
Yes.
asking them for assistance, or asking one of your friends for assistance.
Yes.
It never occurred to you.
Yes.
Well, I'll put it to you that that's absolutely absurd. It didn't happen that way. It could not have happened that way. And you're not telling the truth.
I am, sir. I've suffered a lot of trauma. And as I've mentioned before, trauma has a funny way of affecting the mind and how you think. If you've been through a traumatic experience, things that would come first would not come to a person who's gone through something traumatic. And that's just the way it is.
So you're saying you weren't thinking straight? Or
Precisely.
clearly? When did Lusanda accused number 2 come into the picture? As far as you're concerned.
I've known her since I joined the ministry, but she was more hands-on when I'd come back.
Was she at in any of the mission houses before you came back?
Yes.
Did she play any role there?
She was, at the time, Fezega's right hand.
Right. Did she have anything to do with you prior to you coming back?
In
Accused
what
number
respect?
2.
We
Any
were
way,
in
did
the
she
same
make arrangements
house.
for you?
I mean, she was Fezega's right hand, so she would assist her,
Yeah.
if that's what you mean.
So she was Fazeka's assistant.
She would help Fezega, yes.
When did she start with the story that you must please the man of God? Was that after you'd returned, or previously,
After I returned,
or after you'd returned?
yes.
Was she in Port Elizabeth when you returned?
Yes, I was met by her and Cindy at the airport.
And what did she say to you here in Port Elizabeth?
Welcome back. Nice
Welcome
to
back.
see you.
That's the type of thing. Nice
Yeah.
to see you. She never gave you any instructions, is that correct, here in Port Elizabeth?
In Port Elizabeth, no. Not that I can remember.
Not that you can remember.
Yes.
You exchanged the usual pleasantries. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you obviously departed for Durban.
Yes.
And you went to number 2 Royal Palm, is it?
Yes.
Was she there?
Yes, she was at the house as well.
And what role was she playing there?
As I explained before, sir, she would organize travel for the girls. She would organize the grocery list. She would iron this man's clothing, basically take on Fezega's role.
She was his personal assistant, as it were.
Yeah, you will.
She didn't recruit you into the church. You agree with that?
Her?
Yes.
No, not me. No.
Yes. She had nothing to do with you joining the church.
No. I joined the church with the youth group that I was in.
And she had nothing to do with you coming back to the church.
Besides that one phone call, no, I can't say.
You can't say. What happened during the phone call, just to refresh our memories?
The phone call that was made from either her phone or Cindy's phone, I can't remember.
Yes.
I was on loudspeaker speaking to Cindy. She joined in. They were telling me to come back. And then this man joined in as well.
Right. But you'd already been in contact with the girls.
Yes, with Cindy and Vicky.
With Cindy. They were just in, and did accused number 2 take part in that conversation?
The conversation on the phone?
Yes.
Yes, she jumped in while Cindy was speaking to me.
What did she say?
She was just saying, come back, we miss you, that kind of thing.
That kind of thing.
Yes.
Nothing untoward, do you agree? Nothing strange about that.
No.
And of course, once you were in Port Elizabeth, you attended the service, and you in fact said you're glad to be back, and so on and so on.
Yes.
You didn't need much encouragement to come back. You wanted to come back.
I had received a lot of encouragement to come back.
All right. But by that time, you didn't need any further encouragement to come back.
Time meaning when I was speaking to
By the time you were speaking to the church and expressing the sentiments you didn't need any further encouragement to come back. You were already there.
I was already there, yes.
Yes. And did anybody have to encourage you to go to Durban, or did you just fall in with the plan to go to Durban?
No one was going to assist me to leave Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
So yes, I
You
went
just
to
went
Durban.
along, man. That's what I'm saying. You didn't need encouragement to go to Durban.
Yes, I understand you, and yes, that's the case.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. Now, you get to Durban, you know what's going to happen there.
Yes, I do.
You've already signified by going there that you're going to go along with with what accused number 1 wants and what he's going to do to you.
Yes, I knew
Yes.
that rape was imminent.
Yes. We're on the same page. And accused number 2 was no part of that process, of him indoctrinating you again and threatening you and telling you what's going to happen to you. You agree that she didn't play any role there?
No, she never threatened me. She just warned me against not pleasing him.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will come to that. Right, you're in Durban, you're in the house, and you're being called to accused number 1's room. He's calling you. Did he usually phone you? How did he get you to his room?
It was usually phoning me, but sometimes if maybe there was someone in the room when he was done with that person, he would ask that person to call me.
And when you were called, you obliged and you went to his room.
Yes.
You didn't need any encouragement to do that.
I was told to do something and I did it.
Yes.
Yes.
He told you.
Yes.
Yeah. As I understand you, accused number 2 didn't have much to do with you before you came back to the church. Is
No.
that correct?
No, because we weren't close.
And it was after you came back that she told you to please the man of God. Is that correct?
Yes.
That was at number 2 Palm
Yes.
Ridge.
Yes.
What exactly did she say to you there about pleasing the man of God?
She would say, when you go up there, don't waste time, because at the end of the day, you're doing this for your life. So she would say that when you go up there, don't waste time, because at the end of the day, you're doing this for your tomorrow. I think at the time, she thought that she was helping keep us alive by advising us to do this for this man. But we all know that's not the case.
So you're saying she was actually trying to help you? She was concerned for you?
She advised us to please this man.
Yes.
Yes.
Why did she do that?
Maybe she thought she was helping us stay alive.
She was not doing it for his sake, telling you to please the man.
She, just like all of us, would follow his every instruction.
Yeah. So she was also under his spell.
Maybe she should answer that for herself.
But she didn't have to tell you to please him, because you were going there to do whatever he wanted you to do.
The fact of the matter is she did tell me.
Yes, I know what you said that. But she didn't have to encourage you, because you were going to do what you knew you had to do. Correct?
I was, sir, but
Yes.
after I'd come back, as I said before, I made it clear that I didn't want to.
Yeah. You're not suggesting that she was telling you to allow him to abuse you sexually.
That's exactly what I'm saying, not suggesting.
You're not suggesting that.
Yes, I'm saying that.
Are you saying that she was telling you to allow him to abuse you?
Yes.
Encouraging you to allow him to abuse you?
Yes. She also referred to it as appointment.
But nothing like that happened prior to, after you had already come back to the church.
Yes.
You know that accused number 2 is charged with trafficking for sexual purposes. That's one of the charges against her.
I understand.
You understand?
Yes.
In the charge sheet, it is alleged that she trafficked you in Secunda and or Mhlanga Rocks and or Inanda and or Israel and or Nigeria. You understand?
I understand what that says, yes.
Yes. Now the term trafficking has got a very technical legal meaning. So I don't want to confuse you. So perhaps I'll just go through the definition with you. Carefully. Trafficking, in terms of the relevant act, includes the supply, recruitment, procurement, capture, removal, transportation, transfer, harboring, sale, disposal or receiving of a person within or across the borders of the Republic by means of. And then we'll come to the means. For the purpose of any form or manner of exploitation, grooming or abuse of a sexual nature of such person, including the commission of any sexual offence or any offence of a sexual nature in any other law against such person, or performing any sexual act with such person, whether committed in or outside the borders of the Republic. Accused number 2 did not supply you to someone. Is that correct?
Accused number 2.
I beg your pardon. Accused number 2 did not supply you to anybody.
As I said before, this woman organized transport, as you were explaining just now, groomed, as you explained just now, advised, as you were explaining just now, me to please this man.
Ma'am, she arranged for your transport to Durban.
She also arranged the transport to Port Elizabeth.
Did she threaten you in any way, ma'am?
She didn't threaten me.
Did she intimidate you in any way?
She warned me against displeasing him.
Did she coerce you to do anything?
She did put pressure on me, yes.
Did she abduct you?
No, she didn't abduct me.
Did she commit fraud in respect of yourself? Did she make a misrepresentation to you of any kind?
Well, I was under the impression that I might be returning home after Port Elizabeth, and I realized that I was wrong. I wasn't going to return home, so
Did she
that could have been a false representation on her part.
All right. Did she deceive you in any way?
Did she, sorry, what?
Did she deceive you in any way?
Again, I was under the impression that I might be going home after Port Elizabeth, so she
Yes.
may have deceived me.
She may have. Did she abuse any power that she had?
Well, she was his, if you will, PA. That gave her a certain level of authority, and she used that authority to exercise on us, to tell us we should go up there and not waste time.
All right. Did she pay you any money or give you compensation or rewards?
She never gave me any money unless it was instructed by him to give to me. From him.
But certainly she did nothing in Secunda, Inanda, Israel or Nigeria.
In Secunda, I can't really confirm.
Yes.
Israel, I don't remember if she was even there. Inanda, I'm not sure I know where that is. What other place did you mention?
I mentioned Nigeria.
Nigeria. I can't remember if she joined us in Nigeria. I don't remember.
So I suppose you can't explain why it is alleged in the charge sheet that she trafficked in you.
No, not at
in
all.
those places.
No.
You've got no clue.
No. But please bear in mind, sir, I can't remember. She could have been there. I just don't remember.
Right, let's move on to count 21. Because before we do that, I'm not going to deal with the alternatives. Count 20. In that count, it is alleged that accused number 2 inter alia trafficked in you. During the period 2012 and 2015.
I think it was the church which was amended to read 2010.
As your lordship pleases.
Yes.
And Etonia Secunda in Flanga Rocks. There we have it in the district of Inanda and or Israel and or Nigeria. For the purposes of sexual exploitation. So you say the same about Secunda, Israel and Nigeria.
Yes, she.
In this instance.
Yes, I did mention that she was Fezeka's right hand before I left the church. So she did help her with her tasks.
With her tasks?
Yes. So Fezeka could have delegated any of her given tasks to Lusanda.
Let's just cut this very short. Is it not correct that whatever allegation you make against accused number 2 applies to the period after you came back to the church and while you were in the church there? Insofar as her assisting accused number 2 to commit
Her
these
assisting accused
terrible acts
number
that
1.
you've described. Sorry?
As I said, she did help Fezeka before I left the church. So I can't really speak as much on her role then.
Yeah.
But what I remember after coming back, as you said, she did in fact room and advise me to please this man.
Right, and that occurred in Durban.
Yes.
Right. So we can rule out the other places I've mentioned.
As I said, she did assist Fezeka. Fezeka could have delegated any of her given tasks to Lusanda. So I can't really speak on things I'm not certain
I'm not
about.
asking you to speculate.
You're asking me if we
about
can
what might
disregard
have
that.
happened.
So I don't know.
You don't know. Right, thank you.
It's not a problem. The record will speak for itself if you can recall the last question.
You want me to recall the last question?
Yes, I just want. I did not have your question, but I had her answer.
My question was, my lord, whether, basically it was whether accused number 2 played any role in assisting accused number 1 in the commission of these
Okay, thanks.
acts prior to her coming back to the church.
Thank you, Mr. Rapon.
And also I asked her to clarify and confirm that that happened in Durban.
In Durban, thank you.
Who was the very first person you reported the sexual assault to?
I had never really told anyone in my family.
You had not told anyone in your family?
Yes, I couldn't tell them that this was happening for reasons I believe are obvious. But I had been, after I had escaped, like finally, I had been talking to some friends from the youth group, from the same schools, from the church as well, who had been in the church as well. I had heard that they'd left as well. And so the conversations would just start very, not too much detail. Over time, detail came. I confided in, I can say, a couple of friends.
Who was the first person you told about the fact that you had been sexually assaulted by accused number 1? In fact, raped by him?
I can't remember whether she was the very, very, very first friend, but I do remember speaking to Melusha about it.
Why can't you remember who the first person was that you told?
I think the reasons are obvious. It's a very traumatic experience and I just can't remember. I can't access that memory.
Do you know that there was someone prior to Melusha that you told about the rapes?
I'm not certain. What I'm certain of is I did tell a couple of friends and she was one of them.
The issue is whether she was the first one, as far as you can remember.
As far as I can remember, I remember confiding in her, yes.
You remember, as far as you can remember, was she the first person you confided in? That's what I want to know.
I can't confirm that, sir. I can't. What I can confirm is it was a friend.
And what did you tell her, Melusha?
I can't remember the exact words, but I did tell her that I went back to the church and I left again because Timothy was still abusing me.
Yes, carry on.
And that's that. Over time, we continued discussing it, and there came a certain point where we gathered some courage to think about maybe approaching the police, but we never did that.
When did you have this conversation with Malusia?
It was somewhere in between 2015, 2016.
You can't be more specific than that.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't.
Did you give her the detail of what had happened to you?
No.
Did you tell her that he had raped you and how he had done it to you?
No, I didn't
What
give
manner?
her.
You
I didn't give
didn't?
her the details. No.
Did you tell her that he had sexually assaulted you?
I told her that he had been abusing me. Yes.
Sexually?
Yes.
Did she tell you that you'd been sexually abusing her as well?
She just told me that she knew exactly what I was talking about.
So by that time, or at that time, you hadn't told anyone in your family about what had happened to you?
No. My family, just from their observation of me, they concluded that I needed therapy. They didn't really know why.
So your answer is no, you never told any member of your family about what had happened to you?
Yes, sir.
I'll come back to that later. Did you attend, well, let me ask you this. Do you know about a 30-day music workshop that was held at the Durban branch of the church from the 1st of June 2010 to the 30th of June 2010?
Yes.
And can you confirm that you attended that workshop?
Yes, I can.
And where were you living at that time?
I was in another group from Secunda. We stayed in different houses in a location in Durban, Umlazi. And sometimes you would stay at the actual church during those 30 days.
Would it be correct to say that you and other girls from other branches stayed at a member's house in Westfield, Durban? And that your roommates were Tembeka, Gumede, Nondumiso, Zungu, and Tracy?
As I said, we stayed in different houses in Umlazi. I do remember one of the houses staying with Tracy, but I can't confirm where it was because I'm not very familiar with the area.
And did you tell the girls that you were staying with that you wanted to be mentored and trained musically by accused number one?
Yes, that was the entire purpose of us being at that 30-day meeting in any case.
How come you never mentioned this 30-day meeting before?
Because...
Did it slip your mind?
No, it didn't slip my mind. It's just that he had not made sexual contact with me yet.
Did you attend that workshop for the entire 30 days?
Yes, I did.
Every day?
Yes.
And what did it involve?
We'd basically go to church. There's this thing that we called triple T in the church. So that's an acronym for Tim Tosh Touch, which is when he rearranges a song that you have or adds something to the song. So we'd go there, sing our songs. He would add the Tim Tosh touch on the songs. We'd re-rehearse them, sing them again. There was prayer involved, preaching.
And that went on until the 30th of June.
Yes.
So we know now that prior to that date, the 30th of June, you did not stay at 16 Westridge Road.
Yes. I believe I did mention it was when I was 14, so after March, I was 14.
And you went home after the music workshop.
Yes.
And you went back to your respective branch of
Yes.
the church.
Yes.
Secunda, in other words.
Yes.
Were you in the Secunda branch choir?
Yes.
Your choir master was Mr. Mtombeni.
Choir master.
Yes. Do you know Mr. Mtombeni?
Google Ntombeni. He was our pianist.
Let's call him an instrumentalist.
Yes.
Right.
And the choir makes it sound like a big group of people. We were actually, I think, 5 or something.
All right. And did your mother offer a garage for choir rehearsal? Were rehearsals conducted there?
Yes, I asked her to let us use the garage to rehearse songs that we would sing in the branch and in the church.
Did your mother join the church?
Yes, she did, after much convincing from me.
Yes. Your mother was a Bible reader and interpreter in the church in Secunda.
In Secunda branch,
Yes.
I remember she did that a few times.
Yes. Then during that period there was a national meeting in Durban, is that correct? In fact, in August 2010. June, July, August.
Okay.
Do you agree with that? Do you recall such a national meeting?
I recall going to a national meeting in Durban in 2010 at the age of 14, not having money to go there, and him sexually assaulting me. And I also remember the first meeting, I can't say when it was, the first meeting where I sang and got good feedback from him after returning home.
So you confirm that you attended a national meeting after you'd come back from the 30-day period you referred to?
Yes, I suppose I can
The
confirm
music
that.
workshop.
Yes.
Did the late pastor Mbulelo Nembe go with you?
He went to all the meetings.
Right. And did he in fact introduce you to accused number 1 at that meeting?
I cannot remember that. I just remember singing in the church and him giving me good feedback from this man when we had returned to Secunda.
And you, on that occasion, you were given an opportunity to sing solo in front of the church.
Yes, it was a Saturday.
Yeah. And then after that you went back home, obviously,
After the meeting was done,
Yes. to Secunda.
yeah.
And then rehearsals continued in your mother's garage after that.
That's likely, yes.
That's likely.
No, but hold on. After the first meeting, the group had not yet even been formed. I was not in the Secunda choir, so maybe not after that first Durban meeting, no.
No, all right. Were you struggling with your mathematics in school during
Yes.
that time? And was Mr. Ntombeni assisting you with your mathematics?
No?
Not? Your father lives in Pietermaritzburg, not so?
My father?
Sorry, your father, yes.
No, he lives in the East Rand.
Well, at that time, in 2010, he lived in,
No,
where was he living?
I don't know. I don't know. We not close.
Is your
So
grandmother still alive?
my father's mother, yes,
And where does she live?
she stays in Pietermaritzburg.
And at the time of these incidents that you've referred to here in South Africa, she was living there?
Yes.
Did you not think to ask her for assistance at any stage?
No.
Why not?
When you're assaulted, assault is, especially sexual assault, it's accompanied by lots of feelings of shame. I mean, she saw me as an untainted grandchild. So the thought of telling her just upset me. I didn't want to hurt her.
But you didn't have to tell her why you needed assistance and what had happened,
That's the reason why I didn't tell her.
because you didn't want to have to tell her.
Yes.
You obviously know Cindy Guama, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
When did you meet her?
I met her at one of the crusades in Durban. She joined the church as a solo singer after I had already been singing solo.
So you were a solo singer at the time. Did you start singing together?
There was a point in time where the group I was in Secunda I stopped singing with them, and I continued as a soloist. She joined the church as a soloist, so we were the two known soloists in the ministry.
Who was the first person you gave details of these assaults on you?
Actual details.
Yes.
As I mentioned, my family saw that I was acting out, so they took me to therapy. So I told the therapist.
Who's this therapist? That you told?
Mandy Arnott.
Mandy?
Arnott.
Spell the surname for me.
Arnott.
Is she a psychologist?
She's a therapist. I don't know her exact qualifications,
Where is
if
she
that's what you
based?
mean. In Springs.
So did your mother see that you're acting strangely? Or is that your evidence?
Yes, I had developed coping mechanisms. So I would drink a lot of alcohol. And I would be very angry and aggressive towards my family. I would wear all black all the time. I was just like a morose soul. I was just very sad.
Did your mother ask you what's going on?
Yes, of course she did.
And did you tell her or not? Or did you keep everything a secret still?
Yes. I never had to tell my mom anything. She told me what she thought was bothering me. And with my mouth, verbally, I didn't say anything. I just nodded.
You nodded. So did she suggest to you that something had happened to you?
Yes, and she told me what she thought that was.
And what was that? Did she tell you she thought you had been sexually abused?
She told me that she thinks that this man did something to me.
And then whose idea was it for you to see the therapist? Was it her idea?
Yes, she consulted with my brother, and they both decided to take me to therapy.
And how many times did you see the therapist?
I would see her once a week for an hour, and then it did help me, but there came a point where I just became too overwhelmed. I tried to kill myself, and then I never went back to her after that attempt.
But
So
you
I stopped everything abruptly. I stopped the medication she had prescribed for me as well.
But you told her, were you open with her? Let me ask you that.
I don't remember telling her exactly how things happened, but I told her that I was sexually abused by my previous pastor. At that time, I could not say the fine details as I've been saying in the court.
Did she not press you for detail?
She never made me feel pressured.
And when would that have been that you saw her? In what year?
2014.
2014.
The sessions didn't go on for long.
Did she not advise you to contact the police?
She asked me if I had, and I don't remember what I told her, but what I know is I wasn't ready to confront this at the time. I was dealing with too much on my own.
Did it ever occur to you that you could ask the police for assistance, that you could phone them?
Yes, it did occur to me, but I was not strong enough to deal with the whole process at the time.
When you were alone at the mission house in Durban, when Reverend Omotoso was in the United States of America, and you had an ideal opportunity to escape, why didn't you phone the police and ask them to assist you?
I wouldn't have dared to call the police to that house. Even when I was speaking to my mother, planning and telling her that I'm planning to leave this house, she said, send me the address. And I remember I said, I'm not going to send you the address because you're going to call the police. She said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I was just too scared. I mean, how could I trust the police they were his protocol in the church. I mentioned this. They took off their police jackets and laid them on the floor for him to walk on.
When did this happen?
I'm sure all the congregants, if they have any truth left, they can confirm that.
Which police are we talking about?
I mean the names.
No, not the names. Where did this happen?
In Durban, I remember, he had police officers as protocol observers who would escort him in and out of the auditorium. He said, I remember he encouraged them to wear their uniform as well. And he would call them to the front to address the church and tell the church how much they adored him and how much they were willing to protect him at all costs. So after that, how can I trust a police? How can it be easy for me to approach them?
You don't know from which police station they were?
No, they never told me that information.
How many of them were there?
It was usually 2.
Usually 2. Was this a regular occurrence that they attended the church?
Yes, they were full-blown members.
Were they police officers?
Yes.
Of rank?
They were police officers.
And you say they took off their jackets and allowed him, the official uniforms, and allowed him to walk on them?
Yes.
Where? In front of the church?
They would do it when he was walking out of the church sometimes. So they didn't care that they were policemen. Let this man walk on our jackets because he's above us. He's above the law.
So you couldn't trust the police, that's why you didn't call them?
Yes, I couldn't trust the police.
Were you contacted by the media at any stage in connection with this matter?
Yes, I was.
By whom were you contacted?
Last year, I was contacted by a person from the SABC.
And you in fact appeared on a special assignment program?
I told them to not reveal my identity, so my face and my name were not revealed. But yes, I was on a special assignment show. Yes.
What was the name of the show?
Special assignment.
Special assignment. So you gave a full interview to a member of the media from SABC.
Yeah.
Who was the reporter that you gave?
I spoke to a Cleo.
Say again, sorry?
A lady, Cleo. She was the first person that came to talk to me before any recording was involved. And then I spoke to Lee. A gentleman.
And what did you say during this interview? What did you tell the media?
I explained how I had been sexually abused by this man.
Did
And
you
I
give
remember
details? right
now I can't remember that, so I don't think I gave finer details.
Is what you told the media on this occasion true?
Yes, he did in fact sexually assault me.
No, the detail of what you told them, is it true? Or were you
I didn't lie on any
You didn't
occasion
lie.
on
You
that
intended to tell the
TV show.
truth.
Yes,
And what you said is the truth.
yes.
And it should accord with what you've told the court. It should be the same story.
The truth is the truth. Nothing changes the truth.
Were you contacted by any other media representatives?
Not Not that I can remember right now. Not that I can remember right now.
Did you grant interviews to any other members of the media?
I remember being interviewed by Lee and Cleo from Special Assignment.
And no one else?
There was a conference held at the CRL Rights Commission.
You attended that conference?
Yes, I attended that conference.
Did you speak at that conference?
Yes, I did.
What did you say at that conference?
I said what I've been saying here, sir.
Did you give detail?
I remember talking about how he told me to take off my headscarf, my dress, what he did to me. I talked about the oral sex.
Was this recorded on video?
Yes.
Were the cameras there?
Yes.
Were there any other complainants there?
Yes.
How many?
2. Well, 2
What
complaining
is the
against
CRL?
him.
Can you just explain for our benefit what the CRL is?
The CRL is the CRL Rights Commission.
Yes.
Is a commission that protects the rights of civilians in cultural, religious, and linguistic respects.
Correct. And what was the purpose of this meeting that you attended?
It was basically to attach faces to the accusations that had been being thrown at this despicable man.
Were they conducting some kind of investigation, the CRL?
I can't speak on their behalf pertaining that, but they were looking into helping the 3 of us there, helping us cope with everything.
When did you approach the police for the first time?
I didn't approach them. They were told about me, and they came to me. And I'm sure they were up to date with current affairs as well, so that helps.
The special assignment program, did that take place before or after the police had come to you and taken your statement, your first statement?
That was, if my memory serves me well, it was before. If my memory serves me correctly.
And the CRL conference?
That was after the arrest.
After the arrest.
That was this year. I think that was this year.
The CRL hearing, that wasn't behind closed doors, correct? Was it open to the public?
Yes.
Why were you prepared to suddenly divulge all the details of what had happened to you?
Because I was tired of feeling sorry for myself about something that wasn't my fault. I needed to start gathering my strength back from this person who went out of his way to take it away from me. So I needed to tell people that this happened to me and I survived. I'm not the useless thing that he wanted me to be.
What did he take away from you?
My power, my dignity, my strength.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Lord, this is about as far as I can go at this stage.
You mean for today?
For today.
Or
For today.
just- or for today?
For today.
I don't know where does that put me. Whether is it at the end of his observation I should re-examine, or should we go for the trial, what he asked for, or should I start with another witness? I just need a guidance in that regard.
Mr. Kulama?
Lord, no, I'm not closing my cross-examination. For the reasons I explained previously.
Earlier,
Yes.
that you need to go through those
Yes.
documents and all
So
those
it was
things.
obvious to my learned friend.
I think we've made progress enough. Have you received the documentation which you
No, not
wanted?
yet. I haven't got it yet.
Can I don't want us I don't want these hiccups and all these problems
Yes.
which result in stolen goals. Is it possible for you to, or when are you going to furnish him with those documents?
My lord, I suggest that we meet and compare his document with
So you
mine, and then we can see if we have the same documents. Then I can make the ones that are not in the
So
possession.
you can start with that exercise.
Start
now.
today.
Mr. Durban, you can start with that exercise now.
No, I'm not going to conduct that exercise. I would like him to provide me then with a clear copy of everything he has.
But how would he know that which documents you have?
I'm
I
saying
think
he must give me everything again. That's what I'm saying.
that's waste. I think that is a waste of stationery and all those things. To give you everything.
Well, I'm not
I
going to
don't-
sit down and go through my documentation page by page to compare it to his documentation.
Mr. Durban, just cool it down.
Yeah.
What I need is that we don't have this hiccup again next time.
Yes, my lord.
We don't get a complaint from yourself that these documents have not been furnished. And the only plausible way of doing it, as far as I am concerned, is for you to exchange documents or look at each other's documents for the purposes of